time to settle down for the night and rest your head on your pillow once again. Take some time to adjust your stuffed animal friends, your blankets, and your books. Turn on your little lamp and pick a friend to snuggle with while you find your way to sleep. Maybe tonight you can find a frog or a reptile friend if you have one. And as you settle down your mind and your body for sleep, begin imagining that you're relaxing on a blanket at the shore of a small pond as the sun gently sets behind the trees. At this pond, there's a bit of magic as the sun goes down. You catch the sight of what you think is a dragonfly, but could it have been a fairy? There are stories of fairies who live among the lily pads here. But as far as you know, you've never heard of anyone actually seeing a fairy before. Were you the first one just now, or was it a trick of the light bouncing off the still and quiet pond waters? Quiet your mind now, little one, and set your gaze on a single point somewhere in your room, or close your eyes and imagine your pond and all that you see around you. Begin to listen to the sounds you hear. There is a croaking of frogs in the distance, slowly growing louder and louder as more frogs begin to chime in for the nightly serenade. With each croak, a frog will fill its lungs with air and expand its belly, then slowly let the air out of its lungs, letting the air float through their vocal cords like a harmonica, making the sound we know as croaking or ribbons. Frogs are known to do this to attract mates, or let their frog friends know where they are each evening. For these frogs, it's a gentle way to say, "Hello world, here I am." So, now, like the frogs, we are going to take a deep breath into our lungs and hold it for a count of 3. Then, as we release the air from our chests, we can breathe out a little more loudly tonight, listening to the sound the air makes as it leaves our bodies. We will do this 4 times, inhaling and exhaling, and listening to the sounds of the air coming and going from our lungs. Ready? Breathe in slowly. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Let it out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in again. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Let it out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in slowly. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Let it out. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in one more time. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Let it out. 1, 2, 3. I hope you are feeling more relaxed now and ready to close your eyes if you haven't already, and listen to this magical story of the frog pond. Down here on Frog Pond, many people come and go all throughout the day, and all throughout the changing seasons. Today it is summer, and the sun is beginning to go down, but hasn't quite decided to set yet. The golden light of the last few rays of sun reflects off the still and quiet pond, bouncing its light against the trees above, turning their leaves from bright green to a shimmering and bright orange. There are lily pads gently floating across the top of the pond, and as the sun shimmers down on them, you see tiny little wings fluttering from lily pad to lily pad. Each set of wings sparkles in the evening sunlight. Mostly, they are dragonflies, skimming their long bodies across the water. But some are tiny little bugs that the frogs like to enjoy as an evening snack, as they stretch their long tongues out to catch them right out of the air. Tonight, you've settled down next to the water's edge with a blanket set across the soft green grass and tucked a pillow under your head to rest in the last light of day to watch the little creatures and their shiny wings dance across the pond. That's when you hear the first croak of a single frog who has come out to perch on the lily pads and catch its evening snack. You scan your eyes across the pond to see if you can spot the first frog of the night, and there, just under a tree that has bent one of its large branches over the pond, letting its leaves touch the surface of the water, is a small green frog resting in the corner of the pond, almost as if it were hiding, or waiting for more friends to join them as they hop from lily pad to lily pad. This little frog friend sits still for a moment, and you quietly watch without moving a single muscle. Your breath is quiet and slow, so our new friend does not hear you or know you are there. In the safety of the evening sun and the large branch, the frog puffs out its neck and lets out another small croak, signaling to their friends to come join them. Then you begin to hear more croaking and more ribbiting from the edges of the pond. The water begins to ripple a bit more with the new activity of the frog's friends, and soon you see dozens of frogs resting on lily pads, jutting out their big green necks and croaking their low croaks through the evening breeze. While you watch, you realize they're talking to one another. This is how they communicate, and you begin to wish that you were a frog perched on a lily pad, joining the conversation. What would a frog say to their friends on a warm summer evening such as this? What stories could a frog have that would elicit such excitement from the other frogs around them? As you continue watching and wondering about what frogs could talk about, you see a bright light zipping around the frogs, a little faster and a little brighter than the dragonflies you've watched, darting across the surface of the pond. You let your eyes follow it. It almost goes too quickly for you to keep your eyes on it, but you don't let it out of your sight. And suddenly it stops and gently floats down to the first frog you saw this evening and lands among the same lily pad, resting next to their frog friend. Could it be? Is that a fairy? The next thing you see is a little string attached to a stick, and you realize that the fairy is going fishing. But what would a fairy do with a fish? Surely all the fish within the pond are too large for the fairy to carry, even if they caught one. What on earth could the fairy be fishing for? Then the fairy pulls back on their tiny fishing pole as if they just caught a big one, and they reel in their shiny string, and at the end of the shiny string is an old, wet teddy bear. The teddy bear is soggy and slimy from the pond, and looks as if it had seen better days. You continue watching and wondering why the fairy would fish out an old teddy bear when she looks up at her frog friend and winks. The frog looks at her as if he knows exactly what she's about to do next, and simply waits with a grin on his froggy face. Next, the fairy hovers over the old, wet, and soggy teddy bear and gives it a gentle fairy kiss on the cheek. And with a flash of sunlight, too bright for you to keep your eyes open, the fairy has disappeared, and laying next to you is a brand new, fluffy, and dry teddy bear. The fairy has worked her magic and made the little bear brand new again, and given it to you as a gift from her and her frog friend. You mutter a little thank you to the fairy and to the frogs as they continue their croaking and ribbiting. You scan your eyes over the pond again, looking for the fairy, but she has gone wherever fairies go, and you decide to rest your head back on your pillow, holding your new teddy bear close to you. You close your eyes, listening to the gentle hum of the frogs. the breath in your lungs rising and falling naturally and quietly. I hope you have sweet dreams, little one, of frogs and fairies on a quiet pond like this one. Remember the way the sun danced on the pond and turned the leaves of the big tree a bright and beautiful orange. Remember the sweet little frogs and the wonderful conversations they must have had amongst each other with their croaking and ribbiting. Remember the generous fairy giving new life to a new friend you can take with you wherever you go. Good night, little one.